Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's edition of Just Us Review. We like to take our favorite shows out there, our superhero shows, break them down, and tell you the good and the bad of what's going on out there. And today, we got a good set for you. We got the Flash, we got Arrow, and we got Black Lightning. All right, let's party. So we were rocking in the Hall of Justice, the Flash popped up, and we got some mixed reviews about this episode. So let's break it down for you. The team is reeling from the fact that Barry's about to die after Crisis, and everybody's trying to deal with it their own way. Meanwhile, the meta of the episode, the dude we call Mo Hinder, is trying to find a way to cure himself of a debilitating disease that killed his mama. Yeah, the one that took his mama. So, let's talk about how we felt about this episode. Let's go.
Okay, so The Flash never ceases to amaze me when it comes to the way that they do things. So, Cisco in particular is upset about Barry dying because he's like,
"You're my brother.
Yeah, we can save you.
Power of friendship."
Barry's like, "No, you can't." So Barry comes up with this neato idea that if me and Cisco work to save someone else's life, he won't be so butthurt about it.
But that's some bullshit logic to begin with, because it's like, you guys have saved millions of people.
Exactly.
But this one guy is supposed to help him bridge the fact that you're dying.
So a couple of things with that. Cisco makes the comment that this is going to be impossible to fix, to cure a disease that hasn't been cured before. And I'm like, how can you say that when literally 3 weeks ago y'all jumped us out of black hole?
Well, how about last season you guys created Breach Tech to cross over to other dimensions?
Exactly, but this is the line. This is, nope, can't do this. This is fucking impossible.
Not even just that. It's like Barry told him, "I'm dying, it's done." And Cisco is like, "No, we can still do it."
He's like,
he
"No."
he won't accept that, but the cure for cancer, nah, impossible, can't do it.
I get to say, Barry's like, "I've seen billions of possibilities. I died all of them except one." And Cisco has a hard time coming to grips with that one. But you know what? This episode sucked on so many different levels.
Oh hell
yeah!
It was literally like, let's everybody hold Barry's penis at once because this is his swan song. And I'm like, you guys forget that you were functioning without him before, so why isn't it just business as usual?
Yeah, they act like the whole city's just gonna break out in metacrime the moment he dies. But what irks me is, so on the other end of the spectrum, how dare they have the audacity to think we're just gonna cure this dude's disease without consulting him or seeing what kind of research he did so that you can collaborate. It's just like, nope, we can come up with the solution ourselves, even though y'all just said he was one of the most brilliant minds on the planet. Like, I don't know, maybe it's me, but if the dude whose specific study is this hasn't figured it out yet,
What the fuck make you think y'all can do it?
Exactly,
Especially like, okay, you know what? We're just gonna look for this base. We're gonna start fresh from base one, level one, instead of consulting with him. Oh, let's believe this dimension hopping dude he doesn't clearly look like he's out for himself, so he wouldn't try to screw us over.
With you talking about
suck ass. Okay,
I hate this fucking Wells.
So to catch you up, Wells, we get introduced to this season's Wells, and he's kind of like a broke ass Indiana Jones. And he comes up to Barry and Cisco's like, "Hey, if you guys create this conductor for me, I'll give you the cure to every disease out there." And then they fall for it. They go get it, and then they want to synthesize it so they can give it to Mo Hinder to fix his debilitating disease.
So there were so many things wrong with that, but I just want to break down the basics. This dude who has no power over you, specifically the one that can run at the speed of light.
Thank you.
Forces y'all to do something that y'all don't want to do after he quote unquote did not honor his deal. And you know the fucked up part is they did it.
Yes.
Like they did it. But let's back that up. So the mission was the cure for this dude's cancer is in this facility.
Mm-hmm.
as far as we know, a legal facility, not rooted in crime or anything,
None
right?
whatsoever.
So they break into this facility,
Yes.
committing a crime.
Yes, stealing.
They could not find it.
No, they found it. Because remember, Cisco...
I know.
Okay.
They could not find it. Turns out Cisco had stolen it. Then Barry reads Cisco the Riot Act and tries to have the moral high ground.
No, you...
First of all, both of you are wrong.
No. Let me piggyback off that one right quick. You broke into a facility off the words of a stranger. So you have these people R&D product that they develop that's in their safe, in their vault that they have the patent to. And this stranger told you that they got it through nefarious means. Mind you, he smells like Axe body spray and shade. and you believe him and robbed this completely innocent place for no reason. And everybody's moping this episode. Like Dipney's moping.
Disney's subplot was so stupid.
Killer Frost is just being unnecessary. Like her actual presence is taking up space that can be filled with trash.
Doing all that crying and
Oh
shit.
my god! I was like,
Enough.
Like it's episode 4.
I've seen Joe do more crying in this one than he did for his real son. His real son, Wally West, that we haven't seen or heard from in years. It seems like the show has forgotten about Barry's speed, especially the writers, because as we get to the finishing point of the episode, Mohinder holds one of the doctors hostage because he's about to kill him. He figures if he attacks people and kills them in the state of fear, he can actually cure himself. And Barry's now face to face with him as he holds this guy hostage. And all of a sudden, Barry's too slow to get to the doctor before he gets killed? What kind of shit is that?
Well, here's my thing, and this is what irked me, was the fact that, okay, the cure, look, I'm gonna just say this. They should have went back in time to before he wasn't viable enough for the cure and gave him the cure then.
Nah, that's playing around with time again.
They've already done it. He's been fucking with time since they told him not to fuck with time.
I gotta agree with that, but also, so that's not as egregious to me as the fact that they keep harping on Barry going to die. And it's like, well, of course he is, because y'all just sitting around not doing shit.
And the silly thing about it is, Cisco wanted the shit that was supposed to be the cure. He wanted it because Wells told him it could probably like block dark matter or whatever. And my thing is, you don't even know how he's gonna die.
Here's my thing. You haven't even tested this thing to see if it protects anybody from dark matter. Y'all literally took the stuff from a tube and put it in a syringe and was like, here you go.
For all you know, it was Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
That's for all you know.
All in all, this episode was a letdown. I mean, it brought nothing new. It was just literally them sitting around crying. But you know what? Let's get to something that's slightly better. Up next in the Hall of Justice, we screened the latest episode of Arrow. And it was absolutely the greatest piece of turd we've ever seen in our life. Now, when we talk about the fall of episodes, this is one of the all-time greats of failures. As a matter of fact, it's not a good, it's not a bad, it's definitely a Laurel. Now, what did you think about, well, hold on, let me give you a setup. So, Oliver is trying to figure out if the monitor is on the up and up. So in order for him to figure this out, he has to go back to Nanda Park Beck to the League of Shadows because there's this old book that references the monitor. And this is the only information that he has so he can make a decision. Meanwhile, Connor Hawk and his mom are on the run because there's a secret organization out to get them. So Digga and Lila have to go save them. So, what did you guys feel about this?
I'm gonna split this up into 3 sections because that's literally what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Boring, lazy, and fuck the future.
He's 100% right. So let's start. Hold on.
And I really want to rip into the future shit, but we're gonna build up to
We
that.
gonna have to wait. We gonna have to let that one cook for a second. So let's start with Nanda Parbeck. On Nanda Parbeck, we have Oliver who runs into Thea because she needs a paycheck, And we also run into Talia al Ghul and their other sister that nobody even cares about. And they're all in the search to get this sword. So whoever gets this sword now leads the League of Shadows, which is the dumbest plot line ever.
And in case you were aware, that was the boring part.
So, okay, how did you feel about this? So we on Nanda Parbat. All the fight choreography is fucking lazy. Like, nobody's doing anything extraordinary. Like, we're on Nanda Parbat. What do you think about that?
So I think the only thing good about that whole segment was to see Thea one more time, but like I could have looked pictures of her up on the internet for that. But this sucked. The whole Nanda Okay, let me just say this. It's my final season. I got 10 episodes. All of them need to be banger. And so far, we've only gotten one mediocre. And this was the worst of the 4 so far, or 3. This was the worst one so far. Why aren't we dealing with the monitor shit? What did this have to do? Why did Oliver go to Nanda Parbat?
To see if I'm gonna see if the monitor is gonna open up. And my thing is, even if he isn't, what the fuck you gonna do about it?
What did that have to do with him?
Apparently there was this book that they were like, he's mentioned in this book, and we gotta go read it. That's all it was.
That's what they had to do. It was a filler episode. It did nothing to progress the main storyline that was going on, which is pretty much what happened in Flash, and I think that's why this episode and the Flash episode pissed me off.
They never even found out anything about the monitor.
They got a sword.
That's it.
They had nothing to do, and then the book shit just...
But our whole reason for being here and a 5-second excerpt. Oh well, I guess that's it. But hold on, let's get to the League for a second. And these dumb goof troop people that they have with the League of Assassins.
So
that was a fucking joke.
I think the height of stupidity with them lands in the part where they're going through the temple because we needed to rip off Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade.
Yep.
And they throw Oliver and Thea in there, and what is that woman's name? The ugly Talia. They throw all of them in there to set off the traps and shit like that. And then like 2 of the henchmen go down there. One of them has Oliver's shit with him. He dies.
He takes Oliver's weapons into the trap so that essentially Oliver can pick up his weapons.
Like, yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Like, you are the worst League of Assassins ever.
No. There's somebody else who takes that throne. Talia al Ghul, bring that ass here. That fight with Thea was one of the worst things I've ever seen.
So you yielded because she choked you out.
You bit the knee quickly.
Never, hell no.
No, not only that. First of all, Thea was getting her ass beat.
Yeah.
And in the final moment, she able to do this bullshit move where she stood up as slow as she possibly could and wrapped a chain around Talia's neck and choked her into submission. And I'm sitting there like, she got cut wounds and everything. You got 2 free hands. You still got a weapon in your hand. Stab this bitch. What are you doing? She's like, ugh. With both hands. I give up. You know the thing I've been training for my whole life to run the League of Assassins.
Never mind.
That was a pipe dream. I really didn't want it. It's kind of like a pretzel. I could either have it or not.
And last season when it was Thea's last episode and she left like a fart in the wind. This episode, she came back in the room, shat on the table, and then left.
Wait, cut on the heat and the face. And then left. I was like, this is how you say goodbye to the season? This is how you do this?
Like, this is
I don't blame her. This sucked.
Hold on. Let's get to the actual bad portion of the show. So Diggle and Lila are trying to protect Bronze Tiger's seed sack and his wife. So they're out with fighting these no names, people who don't even You know who they fought? The dude who runs the Walmart down the street. That's who they were fighting.
So let me break this down real fast. Because, like, first off is like, oh, well, Bronze Tiger, he doing missions for me and shit. So, and his family ain't checked in. So I think they got Let's go get him. So they go over there to get him. When we get to the party scene, I swear to God, I think Rob Schneider directed this episode of Arrow. They're supposed to be fucking spies, and they look the most out of place in that entire damn party ever. And I'm like, y'all talking too loud. Y'all standing far away from them. Now y'all moving over too awkward. I know that y'all spies.
Lila had her big ass laptop out.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a phone. I'm sorry, but my thing is, why the fuck would you have a phone that big out if you supposed to be doing spy shit?
Not to mention, this is a party for the guy we're telling, right?
Yeah.
So we're sitting here talking shit about him like his friends aren't around.
Exactly. Speaking of which, like, those extras did not have their heart in it. Like, at all.
Here's my question.
Like,
would you? if you saw this set piece and everything, you like, man, they gave up. Why do I care?
Exactly. This look like shit. I swear someone was in the background eating at craft services. He didn't give a fuck. And the director, Rob Schneider, didn't give a shit either because he kept it in. This was garbage.
So hold on.
Fucking garbage.
Hold on. But and the thing that finally flushed all this down the toilet is that it took Diggle seeing a universe being erased to finally appreciate the fact that he had a fucking family.
Yeah, like all the shit you done did for Oliver in a universe of race, and you like, nah, it's too real out here in the street. Fuck. Seriously. But what was so stupid about it is he didn't realize it was real till they got to the mission. Like, you should have said this at the house. I put on a dress and shit. Motherfucker, we doing this.
Mind you, they son and real son and daughter are back home being babysit by Mrs. Doubtfire. Like, they don't give a fuck for real.
I swear to God, if Lila had said the N word, I wouldn't have even got mad at it. Like, N word, we doing this. You made me put a dress on and shit.
And then they tried to hype it up like this was an extra dangerous mission.
Yeah,
And
when that beta male came out, I was like, you killed my dad. Prepare to die. And I'm like,
I challenge you to a duel.
and I'm looking up there, I'm like, you know what?
Just roll the credits.
Just stop.
Now let's get to the shit. You know, and I know what they thinking. Well, this episode was bad. It can't possibly get any worse.
Oh my God.
Hold on. All right. Hold on. Let's open up this septic tank. Now this is the third act. The future arc. So, what's her name? Mia finally get what she wants. She wants to roll in on the Deathstroke.
I gotta do this my way because I'm tough girl.
Hold on, you gotta set it up in the order of which shit happened. So, first off, remember last episode, Mia was mad at Connor because he was like, your plan was wrong even though the plan fucked up because I got my ass beat. Your plan still was wrong. So we don't do it my way.
So this week's episode, they were like, we're going to do things Mia's way.
Hold on.
We're going to break into the bad guy's lair and fight them on their own terms.
Hold on. But what's worse about that, if you remember, after they did it her way the last time, this plan was, we gonna do what I wanted to do last time again. And what's her name?
Po Child. We gonna call her that, Po Child.
She was like, bitch, we did that already. Zoe was like, bitch, we did that already. The shit didn't work.
And then,
Well, they're not gonna expect it twice. The fuck? And she's like, no.
yeah. So they storm the Deathstroke's camp, but they break through the ceiling, and then they go walk down the hallway and hide. Until Deathstroke, this is day one history, walk through the door. Don't see the fact that part of the ceiling
is on the fucking. What the fuck? Like,
that part of the ceiling is on the fucking ground where there's a big hole above them and they walk right past it into the room. I'm like, this is the worst writing. Who directed this?
Rob Schneider! I told you!
So they go in and they go to fighting. And we got Mia against Diggle Jr.
And she get her ass
surprise,
beat
surprise. She get that ass toe into again. And then the look on her face, like, I fucked up.
But once again, you can tell Mia Oliver child because a minority had to die for the sake of her after she told this bitch this plan isn't gonna work.
So first of all, the death flag was already flown when they were like, we shouldn't be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So Mia's about to get her throat slit. Literally has her knife on her throat, and then Zoe comes out of nowhere and pushes her out the way of Diggle Jr. And then wait, and then turns her back on the enemy.
Yeah. You know, the push wasn't even anything amazing. It was like, no! So like, are you fucking for real?
So wait,
your daddy is Wild Dog. Seriously?
So while she's sitting there having a 30-minute conversation with her back turned to Diggle Jr., of course, surprise, surprise, he stabs the shit out of her, and Mia's like, oh my God, my actions have consequences. And I'm like, what is this? What's going on here? Why are we following this? And then all of a sudden, they get beamed back to the past where Oliver and the crew are.
Except for Zoe, because like fuck her.
Exactly.
And leave that bitch dead in Deathstroke's cave or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, she can go snitch in hell with her dad.
I was so disgusted. This episode was gross. It was. That's the only way I can say it. This episode was fucking gross, like all around.
I literally had to go take a shower and call the cops because I think it might have touched me.
The fact that a woman of color got sacrificed on this episode like really pisses me off. Like I'm to the point where I'm like, leave us out of these shows. I'm really getting infuriated with that shit.
Let's be real. Mia is the problem.
Yeah,
she's holding the show down. Yes, even in the present day flashback, she's holding the show down.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's like watching a spoiled girl on a rampage for most of that's all it is.
It's not even just that. She's not even original. She's that same character in Batwoman. She's that same character probably in Supergirl. All they did was change the hair or the sexuality.
But my thing is, here's the part that pisses me off about Mia. The level of entitlement. Like, bitch, you ain't do nothing. To have all these, this symbol of grandeur, like, I'm the tough one you need to be following. You ain't got no resume.
Exactly.
What's his name? Connor Hawk at least led a team. At least Zoe has been riding with the Canaries. This bitch shows up from a cage fight like I run the team because my daddy used to be somebody and my mama left us with a note and some ramen goddamn noodles.
Even fucking William traveled with Roy for a while and did some things. Apparently he lived on the island. Like, what did you do?
But the whole purpose of this episode was to introduce that twist where they get shoved back to the past. But you know what? I'm done talking about this shit. I want to talk about something that's gonna make me feel good.
Yeah.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick it back to the soul people in Freeland. We talking about Black Lightning. Now, to picture to you, Jefferson is finally out of detention. And he's back to the real world. But the real world, he can't recognize it no more. He don't know what's...
He looking real unfamiliar out here in these streets.
He's like, these streets don't feel like home no more. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, my girl Anissa is trying to get suited to her new situation. And Grace Troy's, different transitions. And our girl Jennifer is trying to understand real life and how to deal with it. Because right now, she's trying to decide if the AWA is good, if they're bad, or they're somewhere in between. Let's pick this up. How do you feel about this? Go for it.
My biggest complaint has been Odell.
Uh-huh.
And while in the previous episodes, while I did have issues with the things that he was doing, at the very least, they were trying to give us a nuanced detail of the character. I feel like this week they were just lazy with it, and he turned into a cartoon supervillain.
I have to kick back on that one. I'm sorry. I thought this episode was brilliant. It showed the manipulative power of Odell. It showed the fact that he is a true villain and that he is out for himself. So let's give you guys some context. We find out that our favorite girl, our favorite lady, our favorite medicine woman, Lynn, is now a junkie. So she's hooked on drugs. Let's be real.
Yes,
She's now officially hooked on green light. She's tweaked the formula so it gives her a brain boost. So it's kind of like Adderall. But now she's taking green light so that she's able to fix the problems with the metas. And she actually discovers a vaccine. But now she's hooked on saving lives. And we find out later in the episode that Odell had orchestrated it so she be hooked on drugs. And not only was that brilliant, but it was also a flashback to the way that even in today's society, how these companies, these commercials are enticing people to try these products that have a negative impact on them. I thought it was a brilliant time.
So that's where I disagree. I think that by saying that Odell orchestrated that and got her hooked on that, robs Lynn of character development in the sense that I remember a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about how she always wanted to be this way when she was, quote unquote, torturing that little girl. And when they first revealed that she had tweaked the green light so that she could... Well, side note, let's get this out of the way. She a meta now because she tweaked the green light and she's taking green light to boost her intelligence. As far as I'm concerned, she was a meta. I feel like that was great character development for her because then we're seeing how far Lynn would push herself to do the things that she wants to do and separate herself from Jefferson. But the moment they introduced that last scene where they drug the wine and shit like that, I was like, okay, well, you just fucked that up. You robbed her of that character development and that agency, and now you're not just this manipulative like general or whatever, you're just Bill Cosby with a higher level of money.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty much what he boiled down to. He did spike her drink and then repeatedly watch her and Jefferson have sex. And they never show him waist down. So getting back to Odell and why I think he was brilliant, because the way he approached Jennifer. So later in the episode, he approaches Jennifer, and he's able to twist and conform her to believe that the occupation of Freeland is actually for his benefit. Mm-hmm. That these soldiers that's roaming the halls of her school and in these streets, discarding these people's liberties is actually in the benefit of Freeland, because if it wasn't for them, the Markovians will run mayhem. And Jennifer buys into his tactics and now is aligning herself with the AWA.
This goes back to what I was saying.
The ASA. So what were you saying?
This goes back to what I was saying last week about how Odell wants control. And that's why, while I understand your gripes with the Lynn situation, it plays perfectly with what I was saying about Odell. He needs control. It's about power and control for him. He has to be able to control certain people on the chessboard to do certain things that he wants them to do. He has to control Lynn one way. He has to control Jennifer another way. And he hasn't gotten to Anissa yet. If he'll get to her, we'll see.
I slightly disagree with that, but it's a little more indirect.
But it all comes back to that last pillar he can't knock down is Jefferson.
Well, honestly, at this point, I think he doesn't even need Jefferson anymore, because he's like, I found a source in the Jennifer that's better than you. But before we get to that road, so Jefferson is out. He's noticing these tolls now where people, it's reminding them of Germany, where people have to show their papers to show that they're not metas and stuff like that. He gets to the schools and he sees how people are divided and how they're being occupied. As a matter of fact, this is one thing that I like with the brilliance of writing. They actually go back to a callback from X-Men where they do the whole Mutant Registration Act and they start testing for mutants.
Did you also see like the posters and shit? This was some X-Men shit too. Like if there was posters like in the background and stuff talking about are you a meta and shit, showing like kids and like that was straight.
Days of Future Past.
As a matter of fact, if you also look up Days of Future Past from the comic, one of the most iconic covers is with a poster behind them, a wanted poster, and there was Wolverine. But take out Wolverine and put Blackbird. And I thought that was an amazing call out to that comic book, even though it's from a different company altogether. But I thought that was amazing in itself. But then you have these kids, and the kids are having a debate about the occupying of the school. They even make references to Germany. They even make references to other times in history where this has occurred. How do you feel about this moment in the film, in the show?
I thought that was good. For one thing, I'm glad they focused back on the school and see, this is the brilliance of this show. They focused on the civilians and how they feel about this, particularly the youth. And that's what's really important because it's the youth that this damages the most. And they're the ones that are gonna, when the ASA or the Markovians or Metas or whoever they think is the problem with Freeland, when or if they destroy Freeland, they kill our elders that can fight. It's the youth that have to pick up the pieces when this shit is all over.
And I'm glad you brought that up because it was the new kid in school, I don't recall his name right now, the one with the long hair. And he's talking with Jen, and Jen's over there trying to explain how the ASA is protecting them. And he goes to Jen and he says this fly-ass line where he's like, the history is written by the winners. We don't know what truly is going on unless we were there. And by there, he means what's currently going down in Freeland. He was like, when all is said and done, whoever wins can rewrite what happened here and tell a different story. But it's those who lived through it who actually know what's going on. I thought that was brilliant.
I would like to throw something out here, speaking of him. Who do y'all think he's going to end up being?
I thought he was going to be a meta because he skipped the registration.
I think he's a meta too because he skipped the registration. Now, as far as what meta, I don't know. He ain't static.
No.
So we can get that out of the way. I don't think he's Joaquin Thunder because his name's not Joaquin because I would have mentioned it by now. He's probably another obscure DC character that they haven't mentioned yet.
But the fact that he's come into Freeland during the occupation is another call out to me that he's a meta as well. So I think he's one to watch. So while all this is going down, Odell is on cleanup duty because people are robbing his trucks and stealing from him. So who does he send out? My dude,
Painkiller.
Painkiller is on the hunt, and Painkiller shows no mercy. How do we feel about Painkiller?
Let me just put it like this. Let me say this off the bat. As far as these CW shows go, Painkiller, Khalil, whatever you want to call him, he has had the best turnaround of the year.
Okay.
There are characters on other shows that if they suck, they just continue to suck until they are removed from the show or the show ends.
Laurel.
Khalil was like, no, we gonna put respect on my name.
Let me pick up off that for a second. One thing I want to bring about Khalil is this. He is the only villain that I feel right now that is poses an actual threat. Like when I look at a villain for a show, he's the one that I think, okay, you're gonna have a tough time dealing with this. This is gonna be your boss arc. This is gonna be your defining moment.
You know, you could even say that because with Odell, like he's villainous in a specific way, but we also see that he's cracking because like he can't take down Jefferson, and on the other end, he can't take down Tobias.
Okay.
And then we have Velour Suit.
Tattoo.
Lala, like he's still selling drugs, so like he's not effective at all.
So with all this going on in Freeland, Jefferson is trying to find this place. He goes to talk to Lynn, but Lynn is too preoccupied with work. He can see that she's literally self-destructing, but he cannot do anything to help. He goes to Jennifer and tries to talk to her, but she believes the occupation is a good thing. And he's seeing that the family that he's been fighting so hard and he's been in detention for to protect or starting to crumble. His last line of defense, his last olive branch is out towards Anissa, and he goes out to her to figure out what's going on with the city, and finds out that she's been, being a vigilante while he's been in jail locked up, and he has a spat with her about how she's been putting the family at risk, but he doesn't know everything that's been going on. How do we feel about that moment?
So for me, that was my favorite part of that episode, because there were things that both of them said that needed to be said, and both of them needed to hear.
Okay.
Specifically with Jefferson, and that's the fact that maybe some of the decisions he has been making haven't been in the best intentions for their family. For example, you're Black fucking Lightning. Why did you need to be locked up in that facility?
That's a good point.
And then on the other hand, we have Anissa, and he was right what he said. She was using drug money to get these fancy apartments and all of these, amenities and stuff like that. She shacking up with Grace, who, I hate to be like that, but she's done it with several other women in the series.
She's like literally new booty of the week.
Exactly.
But let's be real, because like Jefferson wasn't completely out of line with that. He knows that Anissa's, go-to book is Love Him and Leave Him. And he was upset because he was like, you gave our secret, which wasn't yours to give, to a stranger. And I know your track record. But again, he's been out the game for a minute. He doesn't know that Anissa has feelings. But before I go any further, I got to point this out. Anissa dropped some game in this episode. First of all, if she opened up a school, a lot of y'all can learn from her, because she pimped the game harder than I ever thought it could be pimped. So Grace is on the bed. She's a little riled up because Jefferson made her upset. And then Anissa rolls in. She sits down on the bed. It's like, baby, licked her lips. LL Cool J style. She's like, baby, it's not your body that I like, even though it is a banging one. But it's who you are as a person. I love the essence of you. I was like, what? That is some game for your ass. I was sitting on there taking notes. I was like, essence of you, and I don't care. Make sure I underline that word.
And it shows that she knew when I threw that. It shows that she knows how to throw that line out there, because she probably did it on the Lab Girl.
But again, this shows maturity, and it also shows like how to actually write relationships, which other shows have failed to do across the board. So we get towards the end of the episode, and one of the students gets arrested because he's a supposed meta. Somebody apparently called and said he was a meta without any proof, and he gets locked up. And Jefferson ain't having that. That's the last straw. You ain't taking one of his kids. So he's like, look, we need to go roll. Meanwhile, Gamby been in these streets figuring out not only where Odell's hideout is, who's the main people in charge, just going there doing dirt. He also removed the trackers from Jefferson's suit and everything. So now they're going to get this kid out. And Jefferson goes to Anissa, hat in hand, is like, baby girl, I need your help. And they go for this rescue. How do we feel about this part?
A couple of things. First, but when they took the kid, we hadn't seen Mike Lowry in a while. And
Mike Lowry?
Yeah, the principal, when they took the kid, he tried to stand up and say, no, you can't take my student. And they beat the brakes off.
But I was proud of Mike, because Mike was like,
I was proud, but I didn't feel bad for him.
See,
that was an ass whooping he needed.
See, we at first, because Mike Lowry is the principal, and we didn't think he cared about these students. But when these people came, he stood up and said, no, you ain't gonna take them. Now, it was all talk. Because he couldn't back that shit up.
But it goes back to what you were saying the other week. Like, Henderson don't need to be the only person taking ass whoopings for people.
Exactly.
Okay? And that was the second point I was about to get into. Henderson. When old boy called Henderson and Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
And then Henderson was like, first of all, it was hilarious. I know how y'all be talking about how light-skinned Henderson act. This to me was the most light-skinned thing I've ever seen. When dude said, how does it feel to be an Uncle Tom? His response was, how does it feel to be in jail? Like, what the fuck?
That's not a comeback. You know, he went out to the hallway and was like, I should have said, your mama suck Uncle Tom, but nah, I missed it. You know, I'm gonna go back in there and say, hey, yo, what'd you say? But nah, Henderson redeemed himself this episode.
Yeah.
So Black Lightning and Blackbird goes into the prison and she starts wrecking shop, just destroying the ASA soldiers. And then the cops jump up to help, and Henderson's like, nah.
The ASA matter.
This is an ASA problem. Let them deal with
Let's go
it.
get an ASASS whooping. And we gonna play cards.
They sit over there playing spades while the ASAs get their ass whooped by Blackbird.
Exactly.
And then that heifer, the major heifer.
You talking about Batwoman?
Yeah.
You talking about stereotypical tough girl number 49?
Yeah, Major Heifer comes out and she's like, you guys freeze where you are. Don't you move because I will destroy you. And Black Lightning like, shut up, bitch. So to round the episode off, Jefferson goes home, and who's waiting for him? Odell. And Odell sitting in the chair like, you know you done fucked up, right?
I don't know what to talk about.
He's like, I know that was you who helped escape. And then he was like, everybody get one. That was your one. You better not do it again. And I was like, how dare you try me in my own house? Like, had you soul grabbed him right there, that wouldn't be shit he could do.
Exactly. Like it does bring up this question, like, outside of, I guess, the entire might of the military, what is keeping Black Lightning and the rest of them from just not saying no, fuck you, and just taking their city back?
See, and that's what I say. I think it's because of morals with Black Lightning. Black Lightning knows that if he resists with violence, the more violence will be spread. That's why I think Odell goes to certain people a certain way. I think Jennifer just don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. We saw what happened when she got to that facility and blew it up in the last episode. Mm-hmm. So he got to, like you said, he's got to play the game and massage people a different way to get around him. He knew the best way to get to Lynn is that she wants to help people so bad. He knows the best way to get to Jennifer is that she's young and naive about the way the world works. Mm-hmm. So he turns those corners very tightly.
Mm-hmm. Like all it took was a fake ass YouTube video that he went and edited to make her cry and shit and get on his side. And it's like, your own people out here getting their asses whooped and dying, and some fake shit that he made up is what make you fall for his shit. Like,
and my thing is, and the kid with the long hair, he brought up before, he was like, this stuff is happening all over the world. Mm-hmm. And if you just not knowing about it now, it's because you're not listening to what's happening in the world. And I thought that was a brilliant move to actually introduce that. He's like, yeah, what we're experiencing this freely is bad. And all it is a cyclical cycle of what's happened in the past in Germany and everything else. But this ain't the only place where this is going down. But all in all, this was a phenomenal episode as usual. You know, Black Lightning is keeping it up with all their episodes are actually getting better and better as the episodes progress. Plenty of storylines that I got to know what happens to, and plenty of asses that I need to see get whipped. And Odell is at the top. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode of the Just Us Review here in the Hall of Justice, where we like to review our favorite CW shows and some we can't even stand. Like and subscribe. Like I said, we have our Patreon video that's about to get launched within the next couple of days. As soon as we load it, we're going to let you guys know so all the patrons can start viewing those. Like and subscribe. But until next time, peace.